I'm with the Small Business Development Center at Winthrop University, and actually on one of the panelists is John Blomberg, my area manager. We are a resource for small businesses. Our mission is to advance the economic development in South Carolina by helping entrepreneurs. We help pre-venture and existing businesses with a variety of services that looks at financial management, marketing, strategic planning, sales growth ideas, business plans, importing, exporting, government contracting, and product commercialization. We are part of a national network of SBDCs, and we're funded by the Small Business Administration with matching funds from the state governments. With that being said, I also wanted to let everyone know about some upcoming training that we have. And we have, if you ever want to see our training, the past training and upcoming training, go to scsbdc.com. There's a little tab called training events, and you'll see upcoming training from around the state. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll find the previous recorded trainings. And this training is being recorded right now. But we have 3 upcoming training seminars that I wanted to mention that will be featured at the Loom up in Fort Mill. And next week, we have a training event called Compete and Win in the World's Largest Market. That will be hosted by the Small Business Administration with Angela Brewer. Then in August, we have 2 training events. One will be Wednesday, August 10th. And that training event will be called Research Tools to Help Grow Your Business. That'll be a presentation by the York County Economic Development Office. And then finally, on the 16th of August, that is a Tuesday, we will have, again at the Loom, an HR presentation called Winning the War for Talent During the Great Resignation. And the speaker will be Rebecca Battle-Bryant. So those are 3 exciting things. And again, if you just went to the scsbdc.com, or if you just want to go to winthropregionalsbdc.org, and you can find those training events and sign up for them. Those are free events. I do have some information here how to reach us. I've got my email and John's email. So if you ever want to reach out to us, we'd love to talk to you. But without further ado, we have Dr. Kara Peters, who is going to talk to us today on the final installment of the How to Market Your Business in the Post-Pandemic World. And she's going to be talking to us today about customer service and ideas to help you navigate these treacherous waters of post-pandemic life. So Dr. Peters, please take it away.
Thank you. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. And this is Dr. Thomas. She has called in. She's out there in the audience listening, but she said, just go. So I'm going to go. And Sarah, I don't know if you can put her voice up, or I'll just go. And if Jane jumps in, we're good.
Oh, she's the 704-263.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Jane, can you hear me?
She should be able to unmute herself.
Okay. You want to unmute, Jane? Do you want to go, or you want me to do it? This is our title. I'll start there. Let's just go there. And Jane, if you want to jump in, you can jump in. So this is our title, Customer Service Tips to Improve Customer Satisfaction. So that's really what we're talking about today. Is we took a slice from the literature and things we teach about services marketing, but then talking about how does that apply to your business, whether you are a service provider or not, because just general customer service, even if you sell products, has the same kind of flair and tips to help you improve with your customers. And really what this whole talk is about is how to think about the service aspect of your business. Like we said, you might be a pure out service where you're like a doctor's office, a dentist's office, a heating and air person, or a hairstylist, or you can be a store that has customer service as a service component. And so it's not just an afterthought. No matter what you do and what your business is like, the services piece can very much help you. And we wanted to encourage you to think about this as a journey, that the services aspect of your business is basically a process, and it's an experience that an individual has with you. And it starts from the very beginning with them potentially looking you up online. Those online reviews, what people say about you on social media, word of mouth from other people, just regular old traditional word of mouth, or just passive observations. They drive by your store or they are in your area of town and they see your business. So these encounters are where it all begins. And then it's a process. And so it starts there with an encounter. And then it starts into the process. And the way we talk about services marketing is different from traditional marketing. So if you've had a marketing class, you hear people talk about marketing, they usually talk about what we call the 4 Ps: products, pricing, place, which is your storefront or the distribution channel, and promotion, which is like your advertising, your digital marketing, your social media. So that's traditionally how we talk about marketing. But we talk about services, we add a whole bunch of things to it. It's about the people. It's about the process. It's about the physical evidence. So it's not necessarily about a product, but what does the haircut look like afterward? Or after I got out of the doctor's office, do I feel better? So it's intangible, it's inseparable, it's variable, and it's interactive when we talk about services. And what those kinds of things mean is to have good customer service or to be a good service provider. You can't separate out the person from the product, right? You can't send in your head for a haircut. You have to go in and experience it. You have to talk to the hairstylist. You're there, drinking coffee while you're having your haircut or listening to other people around you and sitting in the chair. So there's a whole process that's intangible and inseparable from the outcome, from the experience of it itself, from the person who provides it, the provider or the marketer providing it. And so it's a little bit different from regular old marketing. This is a spiral because each encounter basically with service is like a spiral. You can go up very quickly, you can go down very quickly. That's sort of the way we wanted to think about it, to think about it. And basically, it's sort of like if you think about your first time dating or when you're courting, and we had this in a slide in another presentation, but you're trying to put your best foot forward in the same way if you were meeting somebody for the first time. 85% of customers are willing to spend more time to work with a company that provides excellent service, end-to-end exceptional service. So someone will come to your business just because they've had good customer service or good service experience, and they make that a preference. And sometimes they're willing to pay a little more. So it's a good way to differentiate yourself or your business. Even if you're just selling products and you're a small business trying to compete against the big guys, providing customer service and excellent end-to-end service is a way to differentiate your business from the big guys or from another competitor in town. And again, it's unique and it's intangible and it's unique to you, which we're going to talk about today. But to do that, you gotta deliver. You gotta deliver on your secret sauce, which we're going to talk about a little bit. So you got to prove to the customer in that process, in that experience, as you're courting them, that you have it and that you're worth their time and money, and for them to go out of their way or to pay a little more or to seek you out every time they want something. This is actually a business that Jane and I have worked with. We've done some consulting for her. And she owns this company called Prepped, and it is a straight up service. It is a styling service. So you go online, she has an app, she has a website, and it's for women, and you can get somebody to redo your makeup. As you can see, I have good makeup and I did it through her. She matches you with a stylist. And then your stylist meets with you and she provides an end-to-end experience all through digital. And it's a really good example of how things are inseparable, because I had to like the stylist. I had to have a good experience with the stylist. I had to feel I was getting my money's worth for me to want to refer her to repeat purchase, for me to give her a good Google review. So it's kind of a good example of kind of some of the things we're going to talk about today. One thing to think about with your services is it's all about relationships. Again, it's about people, and we're going to have a whole component in here about training and dealing with your employees to try and help them, encourage them to help build that relationship. But some major principles are things like creating ways to provide feedback. You want to reward loyalty to your customers, and you want to try and build in strong communication and personalization. They're all elements we're going to go into a little more deeply in this, but basically it's the idea that it's like an interpersonal relationship. It's a two-way experience between you and them, and that becomes especially important when you're delivering customer service or a service as instead of a product, because there isn't that physical object. So you want to do things like helping people visualize what something's going to look like, processing information, creating ways to provide feedback. We have some tips for that. Use it as an opportunity to learn. And then some tips for how to reward loyalty and tailor that experience. Things like touch points become especially important. So thinking through your business about what are the different ways you come into contact, starting at the beginning, like we said, is sometimes it's before you've even talked to them. So a lot of people think of touch points as when I'm interacting with the person in my store, and that is certainly important. But what happens before they get there and what happens after they leave? And those are some tips we're going to talk about today, starting with the beginning, which is the digital, but also what to do after they leave. Using technology to respond becomes especially important in today's environment. So not just at the beginning, like we mentioned, making sure you're lined up in your Google reviews and your Facebooks. And we're going to show you some examples with that, but also things like Jane knows somebody who owns a store. She happens to kind of know the owner from visiting there. She sent the woman a text saying, I'm looking for such and such. Do you have this kind of product for a gift? And the woman was busy, right? And she immediately texted back, I will respond to you on Monday. I will look and respond. So using that technology to leverage that, again, that kind of relationship and as another potential touch point is a good way to set yourself apart. Being responsive quickly, even if you're busy. I'll get back to you in 2 days when I'm back in the store. Delivering on the details. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that as well today. But things like Jane went to one time a coffee shop. She said she Googled it, new coffee shop she wanted to try. It says it opens at 8 a.m. A lot of people like their coffee at 8 a.m. She goes up, somebody's opening the door and she walks in. Salesperson, clerk says, oh, I'm sorry, I'm training. I cannot take your order today. I can't take your order. So it's a good example. Okay, this person really wanted coffee and you just denied them and they went out of their way and then it's open and you're there. So it's a bizarre kind of interactive experience that might prevent someone from wanting to come back. There's certainly, if you didn't even give them the coffee, they might leave upset and then go down the street and visit another place. So what are the potential solutions for that, right? Not denying the person. You could have given them a free coffee. You could have said, I'm just training, but let me give you a free cup because I don't know how to run the cash register, right? Or let me get your coffee and then I'm going to ring you up as you're leaving because my manager will be here then so I can get help. So there's lots of solutions, but you got to think about the details. And we're going to talk some more about that as well. Customer expectations. And then again, thinking about the digital. So optimizing your website is something else we wanted to talk about. So actually having your Google reviews, having your Facebook page, your social media, all that set up early, because that might be how they find you. But let's say they want to find you, not necessarily through your store, through online shopping. Is your website easy to navigate? Is there key information that can be easily found on your website? How does it look if someone uses it on their phone versus using it on the PC? Because a lot of systems are really well set up for the PC, but they don't have necessarily good e-commerce. And then making sure your links work. Is everything okay? I saw a little hand come up. No? Okay, I'm okay. All right. Making sure all your links work. Okay. And for things like search engine optimization, making sure when you put in pictures of your products and things that are, you want to label them. Don't just call them picture one or figure one, or just throw a picture in there and it just says IMG007, because when you label them with the products, with the brands, with things about your company, that increases the chance that someone's going to find you. The importance of links going in and out, and the importance of how you label and put information in your website will also help with search engine optimization. The other thing we wanted to talk about related to that is making sure your website matches up with your store. And so one thing to think about too, when you're optimizing your website is, does the look and feel of my website also match up with the look and feel of my store? So if you've ever seen an Amazon store, there's no people, there's no people checking you out. And I don't like that at all, but there is a certain kind of consumer who might really like that, or especially the kind of person who's really into wanting to shop online and not talk to people. But on the alternative to that is, if I do have this friendly, funky coffee shop, does my website also communicate friendly, funky coffee shop? Okay, so now we're getting into some tips and things you can use. And one of the first big ones we want to talk about is training your employees. So part of the customer service experience, a lot of times the owner of the small store is the brand, and they're the ones who deliver the best customer experience. You know why you created your store, you know what your brand's about, you understand the customer, but you can't be there 24 hours a day. And so you might have employees working there. So have you trained your employees on the touch points? What are the different ways we're going to reach out to consumers? And is your employees, when you're not there, are they doing it? Have you given them incentives for doing it? And we'll talk about how you can incentivize it through secret shoppers in a few minutes. Thinking about anticipating problems and being proactive through your business. So for example, if you know there's a forecast for rain this week, have you set near the door a thing of umbrellas? Right? They could be branded umbrellas. They could be umbrellas that the store employee uses the customer to walk out to their car if you don't want to give them away. But something like that can be a problem that you've anticipated. You are a seamstress shop or a dry cleaner, and you have seamstress services, and people come in to get their suit fit, but they don't have shoes. So you want shoes with different heights, so the lady can try on with different shoes and see the pant length. So that seamstress has anticipated the problems. So you need to understand your business well enough and to think about training your employees also to anticipate the problems and meet the customer's needs before it becoming a problem. This is part of the key to having excellent customer service. Easier purchase, order, and return processes. So young people don't like to talk on the phone. So have you, again, made it digital to order? Can they order online or not through you? Do you have touch-free checkout for people that might be afraid of touching things in today's world, today's germ world, right? So thinking about that, do you have a friendly return policy? Can you make it better or improve it in order to improve customer service? A couple other tips. So things like new health guidelines in terms of training your employees, providing a script or a protocol for handling unhappy customers for your employees. So you might be good at this, right? As a business owner, you might not be so good at it, but thinking about what that interaction might be when someone comes in and says, this product needs to be returned because I'm unhappy because of this. And a lot of times you've worked really hard, or your employees had a bad day and they're grouchy. How do they respond to that? And a script or a protocol that you've practiced can help provide training on things like having patience, having soft skills, using positive and affirming language. So I'm sorry that this product didn't work. We refer exchanges here. Would you like to talk about some potential solutions for your exchange, right? So you're positive, affirming, you turn it away from the negative, even if the customer might not be reasonable or might be saying something that's unreasonable. How do you provide that? And then also training on your employees to never promise something you can't deliver on. So if you don't take products back, they cannot open that door with the customer. So how do you train them on that? That's your script, your protocol, and practicing that with your staff. So the next part of the presentation talks about your secret sauce. So what are the different things you can kind of do to make your own sauce? So you can think of it like the Arby's sauce or Coca-Cola's secret formula, right? You also have that. You might be a hairstylist, or you might be a heating and air provider, but what is the secret sauce? And so what is the little things? And that is your customer service. That are the little things that you think you could do to make your sauce secret and cause your business to stand out from someone else, to cause somebody to be more loyal to you, to be more satisfied, to be enthusiastic and engaged. So not just happy customers, but ones that want to go out and be your fans and promote about you online. And I'm going to show you some examples of that in a few minutes too. Okay, well, they're kind of negatives, but they're all great businesses. So I'm going to show you some examples. Okay. So communication, this is a big one. And there's lots of different things you can do to improve your communication as a business, to help improve the customer service experience. So this is an example right here. I pulled this off of, I'm in a Fort Mill foodie group. Okay. The point of the group is not to bash businesses. People go on there and say, don't bash that business all the time on there. It's to promote new restaurants or good restaurants or had a great experience. But sometimes there's something negative on there. And Z Bakery, if you've ever been there, it is an excellent, every example I pulled, these are top-notch businesses that nail it every time. If you've ever been there, they have great food, great service. People usually on this site are bragging about how wonderful their Saturday morning cinnamon rolls are at Z Bakery. But on Memorial Day, just recently, okay, someone put this out there on that Fort Mill foodie group. Okay. And there's hundreds of people in this group from Fort Mill chatting, talking all the time, right? We went by Z Bakery. No one was there. No sign, no posting, nothing, right? Hope everyone's okay. So they were pitching it kind of positive, and it was a holiday weekend, but letting customers know of upcoming changes for your business. This is a key communication point. And I know you're busy, but if you're going to take a vacation in the middle of June, that's not 4th of July. Sometimes people expect it with a holiday, but your vacation week might not be a holiday. It might be first week of August, which has no holidays. You should let your customers know in advance. So I go to a dry cleaner and I'm on their email distribution list. They do a really good job because sometimes they don't have staff for delivery. Boom, there's an email way in advance. We're short staffed. We're not delivering. You can still come into the store, but note, here's our delivery. So really good communication on changes in store hours, changes in delivery. We're down people. We're changing products. We're dropping products. We're adding products. We're changing our return policies, or we have restrictive policies. We're putting out some new coupons online. Promote that. Talk about that. We have upcoming sales. The more communication you give about how things are changing, especially if you're going to be gone, you can also log in Google when you're going to be gone. So if somebody is searching you and you're there that 8 o'clock first time coming to your store and you're not going to be opening because you're training, you can put that in there, closed today. And they might find out that way. But an email, store signs, anything in advance is important. A key piece to communication is a good way to allow you to personalize your interactions for your customer. So it's one other way you can make secret sauce, is trying to personalize that relationship and connection between you and your customer base. And communication is the key of that. 80% of customers are more likely to purchase when they feel like that the process has been personalized in some way. And again, really high repeat purchase rates. So here's some examples. Again, great businesses in Fort Mill I pulled from the foodie site. Okay, so Illumination Wines, new wine store in Fort Mill. And look, somebody says all it took was super friendly service, right? I sat down, it's a beautiful house. I look at, and below it was a picture of the charcuterie board too. That was beautiful. And then look at all this, but all they said was super friendly owners, beautiful environment. And that was strictly because the person probably shared their name. They were present. They were friendly. They made it comfortable for the consumer. So things like sharing your own name. My name's Kara Peters. Welcome to Illumination Wines today. Can I ask your name? And then using their name is another key. So you can ask the customer's name, but it's nice to meet you, Jane Thomas, right? Or Jane. You want to stay present. You don't want to hover though. There's a balance there when you're dealing with the customer. If a customer's coming towards you, you don't ever want to turn away. The greeting and smiles become especially important. This is another successful business. This is a juice bar in Fort Mill, again, off the foodie website. They just love the smiles of these young girls working there. So teenage girls, right? Happy, bubbly, smiling, makes someone want to come back for a smoothie. There is academic research that shows that servers who smiles get bigger tips. So that's going to work for your business too. The smiling, the friendly feel, and you have to let your bad day go. If it was raining, right, or something's going on with your kid, you gotta let that go and smile and put it out there, because you're more likely to get that customer to come back in the same way they might give a bigger tip. Other tips for personalization is getting to know your customers. And I put a heating and air in here because my husband is big on this. He wants to use the same heating and air guys all the time, but he wants them to send out the same technician. He's very particular about, he wants the same technician who was here the time before, in case, so that person kind of knows the history. He trusts the guy, he liked the guy. And so doing something like making a database and taking notes that Mr. Peters really wants Jimmy to come back. And then you send Jimmy back each time, because you might have 10 technicians or 3 technicians and you might vary. But if a customer really likes one of the guys, sending that same guy out, once you know that about him, is important. And you can just log that in the database, right? Excel spreadsheet. Sending someone a coupon if you know their birthday. Keeping track of product purchases and preferences like that. I want a certain technician, or I like certain products, or I like certain brands. Logging other special information they mentioned. Like they came in and they told you something personal, like my dog died last week, and you're like, I'm sorry. You get out, you log that on the next visit. You say, hey, how you doing? I'm really sorry about the passage of your dog. Did you get a puppy? Did you get a new puppy? Right? Like you could use information that you can log to recall before you see that person again, and use that at checkout or to reach back out. Another way to personalize through communication, and giving loyalty perks like a coupon. And I have some examples of that too. A repeat purchase coupon.
Hey, Kara,
yes.
There was a comment in the Beth said that she thinks it's kind of weird for your server to ask for your name.
Oh, so, I don't think so. I don't think so.
All right.
If you go to like Lululemon, who is it? Beth? Beth, are you a Lululemon fan? She answering? If you're a Lululemon person, okay, when you go in, it's a high-end brand, right? $100 legging kind of thing. I don't wear it because I'm a little big, but if you're skinny, it's like a woman's thing. When you walk in there and you go they use your name and they write it on the door, right? And they often will give you their name. My name's Sarah. It's nice to meet you, Kara. And they'll write it on the door. Well, they write it on the door because now they can remember. And then when they walk up to the door, they say, Kara, do you need a smaller size? How's it working for you? So it's a really good way to touch. But you're right. Some people might be offended by that or find it a little scary, right? Some people might give you a fake name. My husband does this. I used to hear about my weird husband running the same HVAC technician at Chick-fil-A. They'll ask your name, right? And then when they deliver the products, they're waiting. You go over here, wait for your chicken to come up later. My husband will give a fake name because he doesn't like it. So there probably is a segment of consumers who might find it very personal. You could say, can I ask your name? But you don't have to. If you feel that's not appropriate for your business or your brand or what you stand for, you don't necessarily have to. Another good example here on communication, and I'll come back to the chat. Let's move on, but I'll get to the chat, and there's going to be plenty of time for questions. This is Black Cow Burger. They're the #1 hamburger provider in Fort Mill. They've won all these burger awards. So again, I picked great businesses here. But there's somebody who's disappointed in them. And I was kind of bummed because I really love this business. Like I love their burgers and they're really good. Like I said, award winning. But what the person was saying in this Fort Mill foodie group was they went in, they were waiting and they couldn't get any service because they were too busy filling out the online orders. Well, you're a business owner and multiple things are happening at once. It happens to everyone on here, right? You're dealing with this person, the phone's ringing, you got online orders coming in. How do you manage all that? So that's kind of right here. Deliver an efficient, stellar experience. Start with the person in front of you. That's what recommendations from the marketing literature is. immediately deal with the person in front of you, because the person that's standing there feels like they need to be met now. And that person who's on the phone, you say, can you hold please? They're probably more likely used to being held on the phone, right? Some businesses, they wait an hour when they want to call American Airlines and change their seat. So 3 minutes waiting on hold is probably appropriate. Or the online orders, right? They don't even know if they're being delayed 3 to 5 minutes. So it's best to deal with the person in front of you quickly, efficiently, and move on. That's a recommendation from the literature. Seamless checkout and check-in is another thing we're seeing as trending. And that started in the COVID and it's still going, right? Making it easy to check out with your phone without having to touch things, without having to touch the pens, having the clean pens and the dirty pens. If you have restrictive return policies or anything that you really feel is important, you need to communicate that with the customer, and being discreet. Right. So we've all been in the grocery store where the person in front of you, their credit card's not working, or even mine's not working, and it's got nothing to do with there's money in the account, but it's embarrassing. So how do you handle that discreetly is also part of good customer service. Are there more questions? Can I keep going? How are we doing? Looks like there's 6 things in the chat. Is it just Beth?
It just, I think Beth kind of was thinking that, for the getting a person's name, maybe not in a restaurant, but she understood, the fast food. And
Okay.
I think her problem was like, her thought process was
Not in Illumination Wines.
Yeah.
I think it depends. It depends on you, your business, what's your secret sauce, right? Your business, you as the owner, what you're trying to stand for, your brand, which we talked about in the last thing, like what kind of brand? Are you a friendly brand? Are you a formal brand? What is your brand? And what you're trying to communicate, right? Because not all clothing stores do that either. This one does. This is LA East. It's a boutique in South Charlotte and over in Blakeney. And this was an example that I really liked that I got there recently, of the coupon for return. So thinking about saying thank you, and you can think of your Chick-fil-A example. We've all been to Chick-fil-A. You say thank you, they say thank you, then they answer with my pleasure, right? And a smile. But that's the way Chick-fil-A has branded themselves, right? So you obviously need to say thank you at every transaction, but do you want to have some kind of phrasing that you train your employees on? Doesn't have to be my pleasure, right? But it could be, we hope to see you back in 2 weeks. We put a coupon in here, and the back of this coupon, the employee wrote on there, you had a week to come back. So not only they give you the coupon, but it causes you to bounce back, like to come back next week and buy again, because now you've gotten the $10 off. So you get a reward, but you can tie it to getting them to come back in a short time frame, to try and reinforce them coming back, as opposed to waiting 6 months or a year before you see them again. You could say, instead of my pleasure, you could say, thank you, we look forward to seeing you again, or some kind of phrasing that you feel is unique to your brand, that you want to associate with your brand, and you train your employees for you and them to always say that. In the same way Chick-fil-A has done my pleasure, but one that's unique to your brand and your secret sauce. This is another piece of the communication and personalization, is putting yourself in your customer's shoes. And again, I used a great example. If you've ever been to Fort Mill, there's this new restaurant called Super Chicks, and it's awesome. It's so good. So I was trying to find an example of a complaint, and this is their Google reviews, which are hundreds of excellent ones. And I started looking at a bunch of businesses in Fort Mill to find you some examples. But this one is really good because what he did, so he had a negative review. The owner or the manager, Super Chicks team, they personalized the response, and then they asked them to take it offline. So this is what you want to do when you have a negative response or a negative review or a negative Facebook post or something like this. You should always respond, and you should respond. Actually, a lot of the businesses I looked at just had the same, they'd cut and paste the same thing. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for your response. Thank you for your response. They didn't customize. They didn't tell the people who were telling them how great they were, thank you. We look forward to serving you again, right? Come back next week. We're going to have a special on that chicken you talked about, right? Or if it's negative, I'm sorry we didn't meet that. Here's some good stuff about our brand. If you will email us out of here, we'll address your concern and get it off the take the discussion offline. That's what's the recommendation. So respond personally, direct them offline to get it out of the I hate you online that is publicly available. Some things you can do to step into the customer's shoes. So check the online reviews, respond, right? Secret shoppers. Big companies do this. So I actually worked as a secret shopper and I got to go to different Red Lobster restaurants. And I was checking whether the servers were implementing their promotions, and they're owned by Pepsi. So Pepsi would hire secret shoppers, send them into their restaurants to see were the servers doing the monthly promotions that they wanted delivered out through the employees. And you can do this though, as with a small business. You can ask your friend, go in and purchase something, tell me what happened end to end. And then that gives you an idea of what the experience is going to be like, and it'll give you tips for what you can improve or not improve upon, what went well and what you need to work on. Really knowing your products and never saying I don't know. That's also in the marketing literature to teach when they talk about customer service, and some employees will do that because they don't know, right? They're the checkout person at Walmart. They have no idea. They just say, I don't know. That's like the worst thing you can say. You can say, let me look into that for you. Or, well, we have this other brand that does that. If you do know that it's here and it's not there. So not using the word, don't use the phrase, I don't know, and figure out how to redirect the conversation in a constructive way. Specialized knowledge in products. And this is the real advantage of a small business owner. You know what's in your store, you know your products, and you know them better than that clerk at checkout at Walmart. So providing, okay, so here we go, Beth. This might creep out Beth, but this would look good on you. So if you are a store business owner, right, and you can tell when someone walks in, they like certain colors or they're shaped a certain way and things would look really good. Part of the advantage, especially like an older woman walking in like me, is I might pick out these jeans, but when a salesperson says this shirt would look really good on you, and if she's nailed it, I really now want to come back because I'm going to buy more. It's an upsell opportunity. I now feel like they've met my needs and wants. They built a relationship with me. So specialized knowledge, products, extra services, things that we could help you with as a business, upsell opportunity, while also providing extra customer service, going above and beyond for your customer. In academia, in college, we talk about a complaint is a learning opportunity. So like with students, when you get feedback, that's negative feedback, no one likes that. You're working hard as a business owner. Students are working hard in their classes. They don't want to hear that their presentation wasn't good enough, but feedback is a gift, because not all customers will give you feedback. So when there is a complaint, you want to think about it as a learning opportunity. How can I actually take something out of this? Even if I'm dealing with the craziest customer or the craziest person, what can I do better? And I do this all the time as a faculty member. Somebody doesn't like my hair and they complain about it on something. Well, does my hair really look bad, right? And a lot of people would just block that. But no, how can I really do something better? And some customers won't tell you. So things like following up after the sale is an interesting approach. And I had a great dentist. I had a root canal, right? And he called me that night. He's like, how's it going? Talk to me, right? Tell me what's going on. How are you feeling? And if I was really feeling bad, he could say, well, call in the morning at 8 o'clock and we'll have Beth, our receptionist, get you in, right? Or Kara will get you in. I had a pediatrician like that too. And my kid was sick with the flu, got a shot. He called that night. How is she doing better? And it really made me want to go back to those same guys or refer them or talk about them online, because it was a simple thing to follow up with a few phone calls. But if I was really unhappy or really in pain, it's a great follow-up, and it makes me want to go back to them because they actually care. They didn't just drill my tooth and move on, right? He actually cared about me as a person, is what the call said to me. So it's a potential opportunity that could be done simply if you installed someone's new HVAC system and it was above the price of $1,000, which a lot of them are. Why not call that night and say, how's the new system running? We're following up. Is it working great? If it's not working great, it gives you a chance to go out and fix the relationship, so they will call you again. If it's working great, they now remembered that you called and that you cared enough to call because they spent more than $500 with you or something. The last part of the presentation is thinking about customer service instead of just responding to the customer complaint or responding to the customer that's standing in front of you? How can you get them excited about you, thinking about you as a great place to be separate from just a complaint? And this is things like promotions, new products, calling people. Hey, we noticed at Nordstrom will do this, and Neiman Marcus sometimes will do this. The salesperson will get your phone number or your email address. And when the next batch of that fancy brand comes in, they'll text you or call you. A small business could do this too, right? I know that she likes to come in and buy these certain kinds of Mother's Day gifts. So when my next batch of that kind of product comes in, I'm going to call you or text you and let you know when this brand's coming in, or we're getting some new stuff in a month. Would you like to hear about it? And then you shoot them a text or a phone call. So new products, pop up or sales today on my website or in my store, anything's 20% off today, or yesterday I was in a liquor store. I walked in, never been in there before. And she said, all the whiskey's 10% off today. I was like, whoa, I'm coming back, because the next time I come back, she might have another thing on sale. Right. So a pop-up sale on what is on sale today, and then varying that every time the customer walks in. So they're excited and anticipating about what they're going to get off when they come back in, what the sale is going to be that day. Social media fun, social media deals, those same kind of deals that you could do in store. All the whiskey's off today, you could promote that on your social media. And then going above and beyond when the opportunity presents itself. So death in the family, and you saw it in the newspaper. Did you send a flower? Did you send cards? That's another way to personalize the relationship. Those of us at Harry's Automotive want to tell you we're sorry for your loss. I've seen things like this at a funeral home one time. They said there was one business that always sent flowers to any customer that had had a death in the family, and it showed up in the paper. It's just a real personal touch. Sample of lotion on a parent with a baby. You see a mom or a dad walking into the new baby, you're like, oh, new baby. And they're like, yes, just had the baby 3 months ago. Let me put in some self-care items for you. I have these samples of lotion. I'm going to throw it in. Or look at these baby products. I'm gonna give you 10% off today, right? So again, trying to personalize and give them exciting reasons to want to come back to you. Someone may call you and say, do you have this product in stock? I'm looking for a certain kind of gift or product. Offer to deliver it to them that day. You could say for $5 if you want to charge, but you could do it for free. And then you really have earned that relationship and say, yeah, we just got it in stock. Would you like me to deliver it? We can process that transaction over the phone right now, and I can deliver it tomorrow to your house. Do it on your way to or from work. And you've really built out that loyal customer with some excellent customer service, going way above and beyond. A couple other ones. Again, this is a positive one. So look at this one. My Fort Mill foodie group, Sweet Dough. Great. We got a lot of great donut shops now in Fort Mill. There's more than one. But this woman said, I was going to buy donuts for the high school, right? For the Banks Trail. I think it's a middle school. School colors. She asked them to do them in school colors, and they said, sure. Not on the menu, right? No customization on the menu. You could just pick, like, do you want this kind of donut or that kind of donut? But she said, can you make them like this? They said, yes. So what she did then, she went and talked about them to the hundreds of people in the Fort Mill foodie group, right? She's put up a picture, and it was all because they accommodated her special request. And some places would have said, no. You go into Walmart? No, there's no accommodation. You can't have an extra bag, right? But in your store, you can provide these extra little requests and accommodations. Ship it out today. Accommodation with a weird return. I have special items coming in. Would you like me to tell you about it? Special gift wrap. A lot of nice little boutiques will do that and give you special gift wrap and for gifts or for birthdays or just in general. And the last thing to really think about, another thing to think about, is your in-store layout and thinking about, are your customers comfortable? So I'm a mom with a daughter who is in college, and I go with her a lot where she tries on clothes, right? Your Lululemon, nowhere to sit. Right. And so I have to stand there for 20 minutes while she's trying on all her stuff. Right. She's old enough where I don't have to be looking at it. But some stores you go in, the other day I went into one with her. She's back there trying it on, and I sat in this beautiful seat. It had like a nice little table. They offered me a drink, and I sat on my phone. Right. I felt really comfortable. I felt really relaxed while my daughter was trying on her clothes. But half the stores we go in there have no waiting area. Right. And so do you have a little waiting area? Do you have again, your type of business need a waiting area? You have an oil change business. What's going on in your oil change area? Do you have snacks? Do you have drinks or even just water? Is there a TV running? A lot of oil change places have this, but what's on the TV? It's usually the stuff for the guys working there, right? It's for the people working there. But your customer, right, might want to be seeing something else. They might want to be seeing HGTV and not a show on autos, right? So thinking about what's in your store layout as well to accommodate the kind of, if you have like moms bringing their daughters for like that teenage age group shopping, do you have a chair? Because the mom's not trying on the stuff. She's too old and she wants to be comfortable. And then if you do have a waiting area, what's in there and how comfortable is it for the kind of person you're targeting? Okay, so it looks like there's some more in the chat. So give me your questions. I'm open and tell me about your business. Can answer anything. And it doesn't even have to be about this. If you've seen previous presentations or have questions about anything with marketing in your business, I can try and give you ideas or tips.
Well, Kara, Beth just had some comments.
Okay.
And, she still was thinking that, the difference, between you and, liking the idea of somebody saying, your name, is it a culture thing is what her question was.
I think your brand. Yeah. Which would be your culture, right?
Yeah.
Like, so like they do that at Lululemon, but they're not doing that at Dillard's.
Right.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
Totally two different kinds of brands that are speaking to people in very different ways. Right. And Lululemon's high end. It's a niche, right? There's this whole feeling of community around yoga and exercise. It's kind of the message they want to send with their brand. But when you go into Dillard's, they're not asking you that, right? Much more of a mass store, maybe older customers who might feel like there's a privacy concern that you're asking, why do you want to know my name, right? Chick-fil-A versus McDonald's. McDonald's never asked your name, right? But that's not what McDonald's is about, right? Customer service. And that's what Chick-fil-A's secret sauce. We have secret sauce too, but right. But that's part of their secret sauce in addition to their sauce. Where at McDonald's, that's not what their secret sauce is. Their secret sauce is getting food out fast, cheap, and consistent. Totally different branding, right? So thinking about these things, not all these things might apply to your business, but thinking about what do you want your business to stand for? What kind of image do you want your brand? What do you think your employees can or cannot do? Right? What are your employees like? And are in training, are you able to deliver? Or you're doing it all? Like that is all part of the formula.
And that's really what you're talking about is how you differentiate your business, right? I mean, that could be your value proposition, perhaps, like some of the things that you do that go above and beyond that your competitors don't do. And so Beth came up with a couple other things that she said. Chewy is amazing. She said when they learn of a pet's death, they'll ask the owner to donate food to shelters. She also said they send flowers, and then she
send flowers. That's expensive.
Then I've never heard of Ranger Joe's. She says caters to soldiers in Georgia with bottled water.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, that could be something you do too. Like it could be you have a certain kind of product or brand, and then you give, right? You donate to the local this or the local that with water and get PR about your brand. The Chewy one's interesting too, because I just ordered from them and my dog has special food and they said, do you have a form for the vet for this kind of food? I didn't know I needed it. And it said, you can just put the vet name. But when I started to type the vet name in, it pulled up my vet and I could click and they reached out to the vet. So again, good example, totally online business. And they could give a crap about me, but they made the effort of reaching out to the vet. And they populated as many vets as they could find. So when I started to put my vet name in there, it let me choose and he was there. And he's a small nobody vet, right? Yeah. So really good example of, and they're doing this with technology, right? It's not even a small business where you're learning and knowing about your customers. They're using technology to try and anticipate the problems, right? She might have a problem, but she doesn't have the form from her vet. We'll do it for you. It's great.
Here's a interesting question. Julius is asking, I'm looking to start a business in Medicare. How do you market to an older demographic without the use of social media?
Yeah, they don't like social media, old people, and they don't like apps, and some are not even on email. Some of them don't like cash machines, right? When you start getting into older demographic groups, some are very tech savvy. It's kind of a segmentation. There are some older people who are very tech savvy and very good on the computer, but a lot of them are not. And they expect personalized handheld service, right? So things like having a human who answers the phone really matters to an old person. Right. Versus, excuse my language, because I am old, but to an elderly. But personalization, hand holding, helping them with process, with procedure is important because they're not good with digital. They're not. And so and that's expensive. Things like having a customer service phone line. That's why companies automate it, because it's very expensive. So the more they can automate and push you online, the more they want to, because it reduces costs. It's very expensive. But yeah, I think with elderly, you have to, and sick elderly, right? If you're dealing with people that need medical claims and such, when they're sick, they need more help.
Yeah, that actually
Personalization.
Beth put in some comments here, church meetings, Red Hat Society, going, speaking in front of groups, but children, marketing to their children might be a way to do that.
It's huge because my husband just dealt with a death, and when his father, especially when he got into the stage where he was like in assisted living, it was all my husband doing the work, right? So an adult child, and they're dealing with their own stresses.
Right.
So not just marketing to the child, but how can I help you? Again, how can you help the child to make their life? Because they're dealing with emotional as well as like economic, as well as like time issues with the caretaker. But I like the Red Hat. And another big one we're seeing is at Sun City, they have speakers all the time. So like if you're a financial planner, getting in on that network where they bring in speakers every month, and they might pay for lunch or just provide education. And so providing extra added value. So going and teaching them how to do some of their own investing, and then giving out your card at the end. So if you're a digital marketing consultant, right, go give some of your ideas away at a workshop, a few of them. And a lot of people don't like to do this because they're like, well, that's what I'm being paid for, but go give it away at a workshop for these small businesses you're trying to consult for as a digital marketer. Say, here's 3 tips, and show them how to do some things. Often at the end, that business owner, even though now they can do some of that stuff themselves, it shows you're good at it. You're authentic, you're legit. And they'll come up at the end and they'll say, I really liked what you showed me today, and I loved it. And I could do it myself, but I'm too busy. And now
I don't have the time. Yeah.
So showing your expertise and giving away some tips as like a financial planner or like that, a digital marketing consultant, there is nothing wrong with that, because it might generate more business. It shows authenticity. It shows you really want to help people. And usually that'll generate that card at the end.
And Beth put in some other things, and she actually put in her email, if Julius, if you want to contact her.
Okay.
She's more than happy to talk to you. Any other questions? Any other businesses out there that you have Dr. Peters and even maybe Dr. Thomas on her phone somewhere who might be able to answer some questions? And let me just do a little housekeeping, just remind everyone that you will get an email from the state asking for, it's a survey. We need this information so we can better assist you. So if you can fill out that survey, that would be greatly appreciated. And I'm sure Sarah is going to send that out. And also, Sarah, will you attach the presentation too?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Are there laws about what or how much gifts you can provide clients or referral sources?
So I think that depends by industry. I do know if you're in medical, so the Medicare might be, I don't know if that was the Medicare question. I do know if you're like a pharmaceutical rep or in home health care, there are rules. There are rules about what you can give away. But I think if you're just like a store owner with a boutique, you can give away whatever you want to give away, right? When I go to LA East, they give me a $10 gift card. Totally open game on that one.
Yeah, that's like marketing. Like if you own a restaurant and you're trying to, do something. I know I always watch, a good show to watch is like Restaurant Impossible. One of the marketing tactics he always uses is going to an event, a chamber event, and doing a open
up job.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Giving away the product. Yeah. It's marketing 101. So.
Yeah. No, that's a good example. Yeah, I think it depends on your industry. I think financial planning. I know banking is heavily regulated in marketing. So things like medical, things like financial, there are heavy rules in terms of, so like what a bank can put on their social media page, heavily regulated. So when you're in bank marketing, it's a very special field. You got to really know the legal issues, ins and outs. And I think it's like that in healthcare because they're dealing with health, right? But I think if you're a boutique, right, if you're in downtown Fort Mill and you're selling women's clothing, I think it's pretty much open season. There are some general rules on things like how often you can run a sale and things like that with marking sales and pricings in the advertising literature, but usually that stuff's not enforced unless a competitor complains to the FTC, and that's usually a big company against a big company. So even when there are some rules, sometimes there's also rules on things like that I've seen because my students have done projects for companies, and sometimes we've gotten hit with stuff like this. When you're inside the city limits or outside the city limits and you're handing stuff out, like let's say you wanted to go to apartment buildings and hang stuff on people's doorknobs, there are rules often by cities. What you can put on the outside. A lot of you guys know this already because you're business owners, how big your sign is, what it could be, can you wrap the building or versus what is Rock Hill has its own rules on when you're a city owner about the signage. But I do know, like, if you're going to distribute stuff, a lot of my students have done projects where we'll create a promotional item and go hand it out. Getting permission to hand it out. You just can't like blanket apartment buildings. Sometimes you might have to get the owner of the apartment building or their city rules about things like this and
HOA rules too.
Yeah. So you kind of do have to look into the legal, but if you're handing out stuff at checkout at your store, I think you're pretty much open unless you're health or banking or finance.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? We still have a few minutes. I want to
that one's true, Beth. You cannot put stuff in mailboxes without a stamp.
Yep.
You can do it if there's a paper box on the bottom. Like in Baxter, they have you can't put anything in the mailbox, but if there's a paper box slot underneath, you can put it in there without breaking the rules. But anything if you put it in a mailbox itself, that's against, you got to have a stamp, which is almost 60 cents now, right? It's expensive.
I haven't sent out mail in a long time.
Yeah, it's going up. Do digital. Any other questions? Are we good?
Yeah, I think we're good. I really appreciate this. Was wonderful. I learned a lot, and I'm sure our clients learned a lot. We appreciate Kara and Jane, everything you've done in this series. This has been a great series, and we look forward to continue working with you in the future. And with that, I'll just let it be. And thanks everybody for attending.
Thank you.